Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you're an employer dealing with the absolute headache of high healthcare costs and rising payroll taxes, well, what if I told you the solution was actually hidden right inside the tax code? Brought to you on behalf of Danielle Bentley at Healthsite X St Louis, today we are unpacking a seriously revolutionary benefit strategy. It's called the TruBenefit Preventative Care Management Program, or PCMP for short. Whether you're an employer trying to manage a razor-thin budget, or you're an employee just looking for better coverage without suffering a pay cut, you're going to want to pay very close attention to what we're going over today. It's a real game changer. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the zero-cost solution, move into how employees win big, look at the employer ROI, break down the tax reallocation engine, and finally, look at regulatory compliance. All right, part one, the zero-cost solution. I want to hook you with the question right off the bat that honestly sounds a bit impossible. How do you add $1,800 in employee benefits without spending a single dime? Seriously, if you manage payroll or benefits, you know the constant grinding friction between offering competitive perks to keep your best people and, well, managing the budget. Usually, adding benefits means spending a lot more money or asking your CFO to perform some sort of magic trick. But what if that simply wasn't the case? Well, that brings us to the ultimate solution presented by Danielle Bentley, TruBenefit's Preventative Care Management Program. This is a fully ACA-compliant workplace program designed to completely upgrade benefit packages, provide critical financial protection, and deliver incredible wellness tools. In plain English, it's about shifting your entire workforce from a reactive sick care model, where you only use benefits when disaster strikes, to a proactive wellness model that keeps people healthy day to day. And the most incredible part? It accomplishes all of this at zero net cost to the employer and the employee. Literally no net cost. Moving on to part two, let's look at how employees win big. The defining number for the employee experience here is $1,800. That is the average annual benefit allowance generated for each and every participating employee. Now, $1,800 breaks down to about $150 a month. That might not sound like a massive mountain of money at first, but in the insurance world, that $150 a month is often the defining line between being totally exposed to a financial crisis and having complete peace of mind. And the absolutely crucial point here is that this allowance is generated with zero reduction in their net take-home pay. Zero. So, what can they actually do with that $1,800? They use it to purchase additional supplemental benefits that layer perfectly on top of their existing coverage. Imagine one of your employees. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah uses this new allowance to buy accident insurance and short-term disability. If she twists her ankle badly while hiking over the weekend and has to miss a week of work, this supplemental plan steps right in to cover her rents, her groceries, her bills while she recovers. Employees can choose from a really robust menu: life insurance, critical illness, hospital indemnity to cover those nasty surprise ambulance bills, or cancer insurance. It is completely customizable, meaning Sarah decides exactly what fits her unique life. It is life-changing protection, completely funded by the program. But the value doesn't stop at just insurance policies. Employees also gain access to a state-of-the-art wellness portal, powered by partners like Recuro Health. Imagine waking up at 2 a.m. with a sick kid. Instead of an expensive, highly stressful trip to the emergency room, your employees can just pull up an app and speak to a physician immediately. And the cost? $0. A $0 copay for 24/7 virtual urgent care. That is practically unheard of in today's medical landscape. They also get $0 copays on the top 200 most commonly prescribed medications, and critically, integrated behavioral health and on-demand counseling for things like anxiety or stress. Okay, let's move to part three and see how this builds, the employer ROI advantage. If you are an employer, anchor your attention on this number right here, $500 to $700. That is the estimated average FICA payroll tax savings you will realize per participating employee every single year. Let's scale that up for a second. If you have 100 employees participating, that translates to over $63,000 in pure annual payroll tax savings. And that is after all administrative fees are factored in. Think about what a business owner could do with an unexpected $63,000 cash injection every single year. You could hire a new manager, upgrade vital company software, or just widen your profit margins in a tough economy. And the business case just gets stronger when you look at the logistics. Let's pause and emphasize this very first point. There are zero out-of-pocket setup costs. None. That is usually the biggest barrier for businesses looking to upgrade benefits, and here it's completely gone.
Because there's no initial investment, the employer sees an immediate ROI the very first time payroll is run. The whole system is fully operational in just 30 to 45 days. Plus, by promoting proactive, preventative care and offering those robust wellness tools, employers typically see significantly reduced major medical claims and a massive increase in employee retention. Your teams simply feel valued, protected, and incentivized to stay.
Which brings us to part 4, the tax reallocation engine. Okay, I know what you might be thinking right about now. This sounds a little too good to be true. How is this actually funded? Let's demystify exactly how this miracle is engineered by taking a closer look at a $50,000 annual paycheck scenario. And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanics. Before TruBenefit, an employee pays their standard taxes and takes home a net pay of $14.35 biweekly. Now, watch what happens when we apply the program. A pre-tax deduction is taken for the PCMP premium. Because their taxable income is now structurally lower, the taxes taken out by the government are lower, generating $117 in total tax savings. Then, through a specialized medical reimbursement plan, that exact premium amount is reimbursed back into the employee's paycheck tax-free. The end result? Their net take-home pay remains exactly $14.35, but now they have a supplemental benefit allowance funded entirely by those newly generated tax savings. It's honestly like a highly efficient tax dollar recycling plant. Let's break down the flow. First, the employee makes a pre-tax deduction via an IRS Section 125 cafeteria plan. Second, because that taxable income drops, FICA tax savings are automatically generated for both the employee and the employer. Third, a self-insured medical reimbursement plan, or SIMRAP, acts as the mechanism that safely returns the money to the employee's pocket, reimbursing that premium dollar for dollar, tax-free. And finally, the remaining allowance generated by the tax savings is used by the employee to buy those supplemental benefits. It is a completely logical, highly compliant financial engine. All right, moving into part 5, strict federal regulatory compliance. Of course, anytime we talk about leveraging tax codes, it's totally natural to have a healthy dose of skepticism. But what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly these distinct federal regulations interlock like puzzle pieces to structurally support every single step of the TruBenefit program. The Affordable Care Act specifically approves and supports participatory workplace wellness programs. IRS Section 125 allows the pre-taxing of medical expenses. Sections 105 and 106 authorize the SIMRAP to execute those tax-free reimbursements we just discussed. And IRS Section 213D explicitly defines what qualifies as compliant medical care. It is a bulletproof framework. You might wonder, why does the government allow this to happen? Well, it's actually quite simple. The federal government actively wants to incentivize preventative care. By giving employers structural tax breaks to keep their employees healthy, it ultimately reduces the massive strain on the national healthcare system down the line. This isn't some sketchy loophole. It is built exactly as the Departments of Treasury, Labor, and Health and Human Services intended. The plan documents are thoroughly vetted by CPAs and ERISA attorneys, strictly adhering to established guidelines. So the absolutely crucial point we need to emphasize here is that this is not a free money grant from the government. It is a legal, highly structured reallocation of your existing payroll taxes. It essentially frees up tax dollars that both the employer and employee would have normally paid straight to the federal government, and instead redirects those exact dollars into specific, federally permitted employee benefits. Let's just summarize the sheer contrast here. Without TruBenefit, you're stuck with the heavy, burdensome status quo. You're constantly paying high payroll taxes, offering a standard, let's face it, unexciting benefits package, and watching your employees bear the heavy brunt of out-of-pocket medical costs. But with TruBenefit, you unlock this incredibly light, exciting win-win-win framework, significantly lower taxes for the employer, an average $1,800 supplemental allowance for the employee, and robust 24/7 wellness support that literally changes lives. And honestly, beyond all the math and the tax codes, the true value of this program is the very real human impact. Think about the stress reduction for an HR director who finally has a world-class benefits package to offer during recruitment. You are creating a happier, healthier, and financially stronger workforce. You are giving your team access to mental health support, life insurance, and 24/7 doctors, all without asking them to sacrifice a single penny of their take-home pay. It proves to your team that they are deeply valued and fiercely protected. Which leaves us with one final, provocative question. Are you ready to stop overpaying your payroll taxes and start reallocating that money to empower your team? Stop leaving your tax dollars on the table. If you want to see exactly what these numbers look like for your specific business, it's time to reach out. Contact Danielle Bentley at Healthsite X St Louis to set up your custom analysis and see just how much you can save while radically upgrading your employee benefits. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Start reallocating today, and we'll catch you on the next one.